Hello, everybody. Welcome to the secret history living inside your aquarium. Let's get this end of the world as we know it. It starts with an earthquake, birds, planes, an aeroplane. I don't know the words. So, how's everybody doing? I'm going to take this mask off in a minute, but I wanted to use a prop to get your attention. If you guys are not in a place that's been hit yet, you may think I am crazy. If you are in Italy or Iran, I'm sorry. Um, this is dead serious. Um, so I'm sure they'll demonetize this. They've demonetized all the videos in which I've talked about it, but I just want to get the word out. A week ago, I first, I guess 10 days ago, I first discussed this and I said, guys, I had a video and I said, number one, this is from a human perspective. You guys are my friends and my community in my hobby. And on a human level, I want you guys to know what's going on. Seattle happened to be the first place that got this sickness. I'm going to call it the Modelo Bug because I can't say certain words. So the Modelo Bug came here, and we had no cases after the one person. Well, it turns out nobody was testing. We're still not doing enough testing. Only the last week have we done many tests. Before that, we'd done less than 400 tests when I talked to you guys last time. And when they said they had shipped out test kits, the problem is, yes, they have a kit that you open up and it has 3 little vials, and you swab the inside of the nose or the very back of the throat, and then you put it in the little vial with a solution in it, and then you need to add secondary to the kit a reagent, a certain chemical, in order for that to extract the I guess enzymes or proteins out of that to tell you whether it's a negative or a positive. So, turns out we don't have the MFing reagent. So, even though they say, yeah, we have a million tests ready and shipped, we really only have enough for 75K tests to be run until they figure that out. So that's one really scary thing. That's why they're only testing people who are in the hospital, and or who have confirmed had it, and it's like a spouse or somebody that they've confirmed contact with. Here we have at least several friends or people we know on Facebook in the community that have tried to go get tests. They've had a cough for a week and a fever, and maybe they're not quite hospital level, but they're just like, I need to know, about quarantining myself, and they can't figure out where to get tested. Even though I see in the national media them saying that Seattle has a drive-through testing thing, it doesn't. That is only for UW, the University of Washington employees. And so that's not even open to the public. That is for doctors, surgeons, and pathologists, and lab workers to go through periodically and make sure they don't have it. The first wave of firefighters, EMTs, and things like that, they're uh, they're starting to also have it. Some of them have had it and got better already, and they were out in the community the whole time. So we don't know the half of it. We're coming up on 600 cases here in Washington, in the Seattle area, specifically within 8 miles of Seattle in a circle, basically. And what I wanted to, holy cow, um, Fishy Fun 57. Thank you so much, my friend. That really, really, really means a lot to me. You're gonna make me cry. Okay, guys, I promise I'm gonna talk about fish stuff. But I wanted to give you guys an overview really quick, and that is basically that I have lupus, and it means that my immune system is way overactive. Because of this, I haven't been working for a while. If you've been following my channel, you'll also know that I got hit by lightning in June, about coming up on 2 years now, 20 months ago. I lost my ability to speak right and short-term memory, my ability to write and draw. I'm an artist and graphic designer for a living. And so I really leaned on this channel. And not only did I lean on this channel for support as something to do because I couldn't do the arts with my hands, I leaned on this channel because I found you guys and I care about you, and you are truly my friends and truly people that I have come over that are in my lives, people that I have visited when I've traveled the country, people I've ran into in pet stores that have been like, hey, I watched your channel. And I can't tell you how much that enriches my life when I feel like I am stuck at home and I feel like I'm failing at providing for my family. And this is just a heart to heart that this started as a hobby. Everyone kind of thought I was wasting time and I should probably just get a part-time job like my dad and stuff, and just try to do whatever it was I could do, even if I had to go back to waiting tables or something like that. But with my back pain and my memory and just how often I get sick, um, I just, it didn't work. I was working at a fish store 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, and that worked because I just loved it so much. But I came home and just crashed every night that I did that for a time there, and then got laid off anyway. So um, all that water under the bridge, I just want to tell you how I got to where I am now. So my wife and I kind of have flipped roles. She is right now, she is the provider of the house for the most part. And that's hard. I don't know if in Western countries, probably in a lot of countries, in Judeo-Christian countries, and in Asian, a lot of Asian Taoist, Confucius cultures, the man is supposed to be strong, provide, wise, all that stuff. And sometimes it really gets to me. So the fact that this channel has made as much money on good months as a minimum wage job makes me really feel validated, because it's something I love too, and I love talking with you guys, helping you through whatever it is you're working on. And so thank you. First of all, thank you. And I'm saying this because I care. And I know there's going to be people who say this is a fish channel. Why are you talking about this other stuff? It's clickbait or something like that. But it's not. I care about you guys. I'm really cooped up right now, and hopefully I can get feeling better to do some artwork and stuff. But I had to get off of my prednisone and all my I had medication that clears up my skin, otherwise I get blisters. And in my old videos you can see before I was on it when I would have really bad blistering on my face and things. So I am an at-risk person, and because of that, and because of the time being home, and because I love biology and the natural world, I've been watching this extremely closely. And then on top of all that, we get the first case literally in the area I grew up in, like within miles of where I went to high school. The first case popped up in the U.S. here early on. Well, it turns out that the DNA was run. The stuff that I told you that I couldn't come out and say, the New York Times has come out with an excellent article. I'll try to link it later in the comments. But basically, we had a study going on of the flu and of the cold. And our local university, University of Washington Medical Center, had all these test kits, and if they got the right reagent, they could take swabs and figure out if anybody had the coronavirus. Now, we locked down that first patient 4 days after they arrived in the US, before we knew that it was so communicable early. Or at least we didn't listen to the Chinese. We thought it was unreliable, and that's unheard of for a virus to go silent for 14 days. Well, now the newest German papers say that one, when it's aerosolized, it is in the room for 3 hours just from breathing, just in a room with no ventilation. It will stay suspended because viral, bacterial, those things, I mean, it's so much smaller than a bacterial or a single cell organism. I mean, we're talking, thousands of them fit in a single cell. And so these things are teeny and they just float around. Same with, like I've talked about, how silicate and other interesting phosphates and things literally float all the way from Africa over into the Amazon, and that's what keeps a lot of the potassium and phosphorus and calcite and things like that. That's what literally rains down in these microparticles of little molecules and atoms. And that's how the Amazon is able to have enough nutrients in its soil. It's really incredible. That system. I have a video on that if you're interested. You can go back and look at it. But today, what I really, really wanted to talk to you guys about, beyond an update of what's going on the ground here, is you guys are probably watching this video, and if you're somewhere where it hasn't hit hard yet, you guys probably think I'm crazy when I tell you your pet stores are going to close down. Your cat, your dog, your fish, your birds, whatever they are, this is going to close them down. I promise you. That is not essential. Hopefully, grocery stores will still carry cat and dog food and things like that. But a lot of our supply lines are also going to be disrupted. We have barely begun to see what is going to happen with this. And in Seattle, which is it's a very service industry oriented town as well as a tech town. So we have a lot of nightlife. We have a lot of musicians, a lot of artists, a lot of people who are bartenders or servers, mixologists, and salespeople, at boutiques and local clothing stores and things. Literally in the last week, we went from no big deal kind of feeling to, what would you say, 70% of the restaurants are closing? 50? Honey?
I think it's like 40 to 50.
40 to 50% of our restaurants have closed already. And that's not with government anything. This is just because sales are down. Some aspects of things, in certain things, not necessarily restaurants, they can't get the food they want. My buddy Chase, who you've seen his aquascapes and his awesome puffer fish, his Mabu puffer, puffy combs, basically, so he's a diver, and he dives down in the southern Puget Sound for gooey ducks and clams and urchins and all sorts of stuff. He's a diver, free diving, but not without a tank. He has an airline that goes down, but it's just him scrounging with a knife and a little trowel. And they've been closed for 2 months because they can't export to China. Nobody's buying this really high-end luxury stuff, and they're not allowing anything in certain trade capacities. Now, also, right now, the port of Shanghai is starting to open up a little more again, but they had a backlog that filled their port. And China, it plans big. There are ghost cities of 20 million people. Like, they planned for 20 million people, and maybe 5 million are there now. And there's literally houses falling apart. Just giant blocks upon blocks of places. Look up ghost skyscrapers of China if you want to see videos of it. But they are so ambitious, and it is so unlike the West. They may not build them well, they may be built kind of shoddy and quickly, but they have these ambitions that fire up huge. And so when they're not shipping, when they shut down their industry, I was telling you guys, this is not good. This means bad news. China only cares about their economy. I mean, that and keeping power, the Communist Party keeping power is the one thing that's maybe more important than money to China right now. And they are locked down tight. 900 million people at the height of it were locked down in their apartments. Businesses were closed except for delivery people of food and pharmacy stuff as well, and health and sanitation workers. So right now, where we're at in Seattle, we just got the whole country has a state of emergency. If you think you only have 3 or 4 cases now, multiply that by 10 to 20. That's what every virologist I've seen interviewed has said. That's on the conservative side. You can go listen to Art Bell or someone on, or Alex Jones or someone on another late night radio, and you might hear like 500 times or something. But 10 to 20 times is the conservative guess of how many cases there are. This is based mostly off of, one, adding up how quickly this virus spreads based on its attributes that we've followed and learned. But two, it's also based on, in Korea, they've done a massive amount of testing of this one dengue region, and they have the lowest death rate of any area, but they also have a ton of people who barely have symptoms, but they're testing even people who aren't sick at all. They just have drive-throughs, and they're testing as many people as they can. I think they can do 20 or 30,000 a day. And the other thing is, China is coming up with tests now that work in 10 to 15 minutes, and they're going to be able to see the antibodies rather than the virus itself, which is great because that tells you maybe you didn't know you had it, but it tells you that you did have it. And they're going to be making these kits for $15 US. And right now in the US, each test kit is $2,620 some dollars, last I saw. It's absurd. Like, why have we let our society get to this point where it's so run by big business and by non-compassion? I mean, we can buy trillions of dollars in military stuff in the US, and we don't even spend 1% of that budget on the CDC's pathogens and pandemic and infectious disease program. We cut the funding to that, or I should say President Trump and his administration did. Luckily now we've hired back some people who know what they're talking about, but the cat's out of the bag. So if you people last week were saying Alex is crazy, this doesn't have to do with fish, you're damn right it has to do with fish. And I want you guys to know now, because it's getting to be too late in Seattle for me to do anything helpful. But I can come to you guys and hopefully I can tell you, get your cat food, get your dog food. They're saying the schools are shut down for 2 to 4 weeks. That is crap. They're just easing us into this because it's really hard emotionally for everyone to wrap their head around that we're going to have to lock down. We're going to have to stay 6 feet away from people when we do have to venture out, and we are going to have to stay inside most of the time. And it's scary. It has never happened. This is once in a lifetime. Literally, there are maybe, I don't know, I'd have to guess, I'm making up a number, but maybe 30,000 people left that remember 1919 in any capacity in the whole world, and they're like 110. And that was the last, well, my wife just said 101, and that's if they were born, but then they would have no idea about the virus. I'm saying you have to be 5 or so to remember much of anything, especially when you're like 105. If you can remember anything then. So I have called every store in the area of Seattle that I can. I have been told by 3 owners now that they have gotten letters or emails or calls from the Commerce, I believe it is, department saying, hey, we may need to ask you guys to help out in stage 2 self-distancing and or quarantining. If you have an employee that comes down sick, you're gonna have to shut down for 14 days. If you have a suspected case, it's going to be at least 7 days plus a test to confirm that it's clean. Now, some of these fish shops have like 4 employees and an owner or whatever. And that means a lot of these places will be shutting down. And they've told me I can't get in things. So I'm going to tell you guys very shortly here some of the things that we will not get in for probably the next 6 months, maybe more. And that's terrifying, okay? So if you saw the last video, I mentioned antibiotics. 92% of our antibiotics, the precursor chemicals, are made in China or India. Last week, India shut down all exports of their medicinal manufacturing. They think they need it for their 1.4 billion person population. And you know what? They're probably right. But since 2004, laws changed. And again, in 2012, laws changed. It made it so that we no longer needed a strategic supply of medications. Prior to this, Fort Knox, little known fact, its main purpose during the Cold War was not to carry gold to worry about the currency. It was to store morphine, antibiotics, and also some chemical weapons and things like that. But it was to have enough bandages, antibiotics, morphine for pain, cures for poisoning of the water, and making it potable, iodine tablets and things like that. That's what was in there. I mean, there was a bunch of gold too, but they used it. That was deemed as more important because they were so terrified of a nuclear warhead going off, whether be it purposefully or accidentally somewhere in the U.S. And so they stopped manufacturing and stopped mandating that we keep a supply of these things in the U.S. Right now, you can go online, go to drugscom, and you can find that there are over 153 medications that are out of stock or low on stock. And that means there's nothing in the warehouses. So you might get lucky and find it at your pharmacy because it's not out yet. But things like Lipitor, Prilosec, things that are very important, injectable morphine, injectable fentanyl, injectable augmentin and Z-Paks, those are all out. I mean, really important stuff. Pretty much any organ rejection medication that has a generic form is out. And so we need to ask our government for humans, okay? I'm taking a minute with this platform to say for humans, we need to make sure that our basic needs are met. If we can't make paper masks, are you telling me in a country of 350 million people, the richest country in the world, we can't make paper masks? We can't gear up a factory in a month or two to make paper masks? This is ridiculous. Right now, our local hospital is suggesting that nurses use their masks twice and then pass them on. If they used a mask per patient in the US right now, we would be out in 2 days. This is enraging to me. And right now in Seattle, we're hearing all about it. And we have friends in the medical community, and so you get to hear about it. We see it coming. There is an exponential curve, and all of this is because I care about you. So you guys can do all your research. It's out there right now. People are finally waking up. Look at Italy. Literally people carrying their daughter into a emergency room in the roundabout through the double doors, and they're stopped, and a woman comes out and says, we can't help her. And she's covered in blood. She's bleeding, and she's limp, and it looks like she's going to die. And they say she's had a miscarriage. She's bleeding out. And they say, well, we haven't had blood for whatever. I think they said 2 or 3 days. We can't do anything for her. Send her home. Send her home? this young girl, there were no surgeons. They're all sick or they're all helping people. The blood, even in Seattle, we're down to 30% of our blood supply. There's no big events for them to lobby for people to give blood. So give blood, guys. If you are young and you think this isn't going to hurt me, then when you go out, please think of other people. Please think of society, because maybe you don't give a rat's ass about old people and you just think, all right, we're going to fix our social security problem. Well, beyond losing people, I mean, over the age of 60. The other thing is, this hasn't hit a country with a bunch of fat people. I'm sorry, I just said it. I'm chubby, but if you have diabetes, overweight, or hypertension, it puts you up into a different higher class of comorbidities. And that's why Italy, they think, may have, plus the older age, may have been hit so hard. Milan has one of the best hospital systems in the entire world. The Swiss, the rich French, the rich Italians, they all go there for care. Rich Greeks go there. Milan is known for high society, fashion, tech, banking, and it's overwhelmed within a week. I think they have, what, over 1,000 dead people now? 250 people dying a day or something. They've had to set up tents where people are dying outside in 60-degree weather on a cot with a blanket. I mean, this is just horrific. And they haven't said it publicly. I promise I'm done with the human stuff and we'll get to the practical fish stuff that I've been researching, talking to local stores, and tracking down stuff about it. But if we continue at the rate we're at, and this is if you get rid of the deaths in the funeral, or in the funeral home, might as well be, in the center in Kirkland out here in Seattle. It's a suburb about a mile from Seattle. We have a lake in the city, and on the other side of the lake is Bellevue and Kirkland and Redmond, a few other cities, Renton, and Bothell. And on our side, it's Seattle, but it's really there's bridges across the lake, Lake Washington, and our hospitals are filling up quick, and also the there was a nursing home over there, and it wasn't just for elderly; it was also for people recovering from surgery and things like that. And out of 120 patients, they had 23 die in a week in mid-February. And someone's like, hey, this is kind of strange. They all died of, well, it has a name and I'm going to butcher it, but it's like unspecified or unlocalized or non-localized, no, whatever. It means pneumonia without a known cause. And we didn't have test kits. And supposedly it wasn't in our area. We only had 2 cases and we were fine. Well, the week that we get testing, less than, what was that, guys? 9 days ago, we went from 1 death to 3 deaths to confirming 11 deaths to 20 deaths or 14 deaths, then to 26 deaths. Now we're at, I think, 41. It's like something 30 officially, but they have deceased people that they're testing that were from before. So if you don't think it's in your area, there's a good chance it is now. This thing has gone all around the world. And so what the point is if you didn't believe me last time, when I said, guys, it's coming, believe me, this is not just the flu. It's not just going to brush over us. This is, and it's, even if it just killed just 1 to 3% of the entire population, it's not like they just get deleted, not to mention the emotional toll. It takes time. It takes resources. We try to save these people. We run out of ventilators. They have to choose who they're going to save. We start running out of, because every country in the world is going to be dealing with this bullshit. And we run out of things like insulin for diabetics, you know? So worry about your human stuff now. If you can still get it, if you can talk to your doctor, if you can figure out how to get a supply of it, or write your freaking congressman or your city council, your Rite Aid, I don't know. Rattle every cage you can, especially if you're stuck at home and bored on quarantine when they start to quarantine whole cities. Now they're canceling flights into Seattle. They're also talking about bringing in the National Guard. They have a plan to shut down the freeway and basically quarantine off the general area, the 3 million person, 3 to 4 million people that live from Everett to Olympia, Tacoma area. And I mean, we are stuck between mountains and the Puget Sound and a lake, and then more mountains. And so basically we're in this narrow green, very lush, wonderful all these teeny rivers that flow into a protected saltwater bay, and that's where everybody's farmed for 100 years or whatnot. And now, now it's turned into a city and suburbs and all that, but we all live in this narrow strip of land, and it's very dense living here in Seattle. There are a lot of apartment buildings and things like that. And once this starts spreading in the heart of the city, surprisingly, it started out in the suburbs. It's starting now. We're starting to get cases in the city, and it usually takes 7 to 11 days for these cases to develop into needing hospitalization after the first sign of symptoms, and anywhere from 2 to 14 days to show symptoms, with 2 to 7 being more normal. But that means that it can take up to 3 weeks before we know that you're going to have problems with this virus. And then you could be on life support for another week or two before you die. So it could be 5, 6 weeks that this drags on for certain people. And at the shortest, it would be like maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So this isn't like other plagues or viruses that have burned themselves out. This is like nature has outdone us. It is an interesting evolutionary thing. It is a once in a lifetime thing. I'm done talking about how awful it's going to be. You guys can figure that out. If you still don't believe me, if you think that you're young, it's someone else's problem, just think about, who owns all the money and runs the country. It's old, usually fat white guys. I hate to say it, but maybe they're dying. I don't know. What happens then? What happens when the person who oversees this or that is gone? What happens when the doctors are gone? So this is going to have ripple effects, and one of them that applies to our hobby, now that I've gone off on such a crazy tangent, you guys, and that's because I care about you. It's because I want you guys to spread the word too, and get ready in your town. Take care of your family. Stay in if you can. Don't listen to the things saying that masks are no good. They're great because they teach you not to touch your face. If you have an N95 mask, if you happen to buy them before, or you're a woodworker or a painter or something while you have them, or a dentist, save those for when you go out later, and use them. Go ahead and use them when you go to the store. Put on gloves. I have gloves for my fish tanks, especially when I do necropsies and autopsies, I guess, on my fish. I use gloves. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around, and we're going to look at some fish, and I'm going to look at what you guys said a little bit. So I'm sorry that I haven't said hello to everyone, but I have some more news that is very important, and I figured I will just show you guys fish while we talk about the news, and while I talk. And you know what? I will be going through here, and I just want to see. Thank you, Ginger, so much. Ginger is another sweetheart. Patreon, yes, you can sign up for Patreon if you want to help support me and my wife and I. I mean, there's a chance that everyone in the city, all of you, I have to say, that people are going to get furloughed. So if you are doing well right now and you can afford to buy me a coffee, so to speak, that's very appreciated, so we can stock up on some things. Alan, thank you so much, brother. Alan Bauer, you are someone who has supported me for so long, and you've been so kind, and I have your plant right here, and I love it, and I shared a clip with the owner of Aquarium Zen, actually. He has the other start because I knew that it would be safe with him. So thank you so much for the super chat. You rock, buddy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bob Kaler, hello. Just awesome, the community I have here. The other thing was I had to get off my medications, my prednisone, my what's the other one called? It has a really crazy name. Phenoxyzenzabine. What the hell is it called? Oh, clomatazine, I think. I don't know. I think that's the brand name. But it's basically a topical steroid. Not to mention my wife and I, I've told you guys that we wanted to get a new house, and I was thinking about that, and at the same time, we've been thinking about starting a family. Well, the medication for that for me it's not being produced in the U.S. right now. And that's just sad. Bob, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. That is so nice of you. You guys are really, really helping me out. J Rad, Iron Man, do you know if the U.S. government can legally force us to stay home and close all the grocery stores? No. So what the U.S. can do, the worst thing the U.S. could do in most Western countries is declare martial law. And that means everybody fend for yourself. We'll try to put some military out there or local police. You will be held accountable for any crime if we get society back together. But the government is collapsing, our infrastructure is collapsing, and basically it is Road Warrior. Like the old rules should apply, but it's up to your town to mob justice. Just string up whoever you see fit. The man with the most weapons and or money or whatever is of value, gas, food. I don't know. They're in charge unless the National Guard or someone else rolls into town and takes back control. Now, what they can do is they can definitely tell you, the health department in the U.S. can definitely shut down a grocery store, a gas station, any place that sells food, they can shut down easily for unsanitary conditions. A sickness of plague proportions is definitely considered a sickness. The thing that they're not telling you online or on the on the news, the mainstream media, and it's okay. I got to get serious again. The thing that they're not telling you, when you add it up, the very lowest death rate we're seeing is 0.5%. That anywhere in the world, that's Korea, that's where they've tested everyone in the province basically, who could have been infected, and then they've had their deaths, and they have an advanced medical system, and they're not through the thick of it yet. They're getting less new cases, but they still have a backlog from 4 weeks back when people were still coming down with it, and they may be in the ICU still. But the lowest case, I think they're at 0.8% or 0.7%. So if that were the case with 350 million people in the US, that would mean 700,000 people dying for each 100 million. So that would be 2.1 million on the lowest estimate. 2.1 million Americans will be dead. If it burns through the whole population. We really have 350 million Americans, so I left off the 50 just because. Now, if the rate is closer to 3, or like it was in Wuhan or Italy now, where when the medical system gets overwhelmed and everything shuts down, I mean, there's no pet stores open, there's nothing open, except for gas, food, and pharmacies. Those are the 3 things that they're leaving open in any of these countries that have been hit hard, and traditionally like the game plan for this. So when when they shut down all of those other businesses and people aren't working, they're furloughed. I mean, in the US, they're talking about not having to pay taxes for the rest of the year, no payroll taxes for workers, endless lines of credit if you need to borrow as a business. But the bottom line is they haven't said for sure yet anything that's like, we're going to get you through this. Like they would basically need to give everyone like a couple grand a month under a certain level to survive and tell them to stay home. And people in America, I mean, maybe they are in your countries too. I know you guys are all over the world. Uh, they're rowdy and they're like, I don't want to do what you tell me to. F you, I won't do what you told me. F you, I won't do what you told me. There's enough people that have had such luxuries, and nothing against you personally if you're one of these people, but you've had such a luxurious padded life that you've had to make up these insane conspiracy theories about like this is a weapon that got out because China wanted to build a factory and the CIA and the lizard people, and I've seen people on the right and on the left and independents. I've seen people, smart people, going off on these things and saying that's why I'm not listening to the government. They designed this to try to scare us, and then they're going to take all our stuff or lock us all up or put us in camps. And it's like there's a sizable population that thinks these things, and they're gonna screw it up for everybody who's doing the right thing. So please help educate kindly. Don't act like me where I'm chastising you and acting like I'm above those people. I am. Just kidding. But we just need to focus on what's going on and how to stop it. And right now we're getting out of containment. Some parts of the US, you might be able to still contain it, but that's if you stop everyone from coming into your town and find everybody with it via a lot of testing, like everyone being tested, and then you put them in isolation, and then you stop everyone from coming in your town, including the truck drivers who are delivering food, water, all that stuff, the government officials, the military, all that would have to stop coming into your town. Does that sound like a plausible thing? So now what we're really focusing on is hiding as many people as possible because the virus can't live outside of the human body for very long. It can, I mean, that's debatable. For viruses it can, but give it 2 weeks or something like that. And for the most part, it's all dead without a human. It needs to go into humans to replicate and to survive. Don't give it any humans. Hide all the humans inside, and it goes away in an area. But you have to make sure it's away and that that area is not opened again. And doing that is why our pet stores are going to be closed. I talked to them today. All right, ta-da, here is the money shot. This is what you guys hung out long enough to hear. And it's more dire than I really thought it would be. So there are local stores. The first one, I just got an email last night that one of our we have 2 aquascaping shops in the Seattle area. Now, she happens to be Chinese, I believe, yeah, Chinese, and she has family in China. I mean, she used to aquascape over in China, and then I think maybe it moved to Taiwan and did it there. Her name is Fiona Lee, maybe, and she owns Aquarius. And Aquaria in Bellevue, she's closing. She said it's closed. I may do some online stuff, but it's closed. I'm sorry. It's just I don't want to get sick. There's not enough customers anyways right now, and I can't get in any of my tissue cultures from overseas. I mean, so for instance, Denmark getting hammered right now for their size of them. Supposedly, add 10 to 20 times whatever the numbers say. And so if you have 50 people or 100 people or 1,000 people in France, you really probably have 100,000 with it right now. In the US, we have 2,000 people. We probably have 200 to 400,000 people now infected. Within a week or two, we'll start to see those symptoms. And by that time, it's too late. That's the problem with this virus. Worse than any other virus except maybe AIDS And AIDS, this goes around the world with a 3.4% death rate. It will kill more people than HIV/AIDS has. Just think about that for a minute. It's terrifying. So what we need to do is stop this. Stop it. Don't give it places to go in the human body, which means closing down pet stores. And yes, pet stores are important. You need food and things like that. And hopefully Amazon or uh, Grubhub or something will stay open and we can get this thing going. Or maybe, it'll hit certain parts of the country really hard at certain times, but we'll find a way to import things to the south for some time and then we'll distribute from there. But it's going to be spotty. And so when I started talking to local fish owners, I mean, we've got Aquarium Co-op here, we've got Aquarium Zen, we've got Aquaria and Aquarius, and then we have Sierra Pets, Denny's, and then we have well, I guess those are the kind of well-known ones. But I mean, Aquarium Co-op and Aquarium Zen are both world-renowned, well-known fish stores, and their plan, as far as I've talked to people, it's like, well, stay open as long as we can. But if our employees get sick, we have to disinfect everything. I mean, they have animals they need to take care of, and they know that we're taking care of our animals. But for instance, we don't know if we'll be able to get cargo in from Florida coming and going at a certain point if they're cutting the flights. And then if they cut the flights, we use commercial air for a lot of stuff. Maybe they'll add more flights with UPS or FedEx or whatever, but we just don't know. Now, what we do know is this is the big news, guys. So, ADA and Ultim Nature Systems have put out information to all wholesalers and store owners that they will not be able to fulfill orders of most of their products, and therefore a lot of them are shutting down their contacts. Like, they're just not going to be at work until that comes back in. Now they're claiming that things are supposed to be orderable from Japan and China around the end of April. This is the same people who 2 weeks ago said we're going to be out for a week or two until we beat this virus, and then the ports should open up and it'll be back to normal. Now they're saying that they'll start taking new orders till April. I waited 5 months without any pandemic. This was just because of the stupid trade war with China. We're having a trade war with China, and some people are afraid of a real war with China. And we get our antibiotics, we get our fish tanks, we get everything from frickin' China. We get our little stainless steel scissors and our plastic doodads that diffuse our CO2, and our nets, and probably like our rubber bands. Who knows? Just so much stuff. Or from Japan. This is the big news. Aquasoil. We are not getting any Fluval or any ADA Amazonia 1, 2, light, whatever. None of it is coming in. And realistically, the rep for LA said to, he said, I'm not going to use his name, but he said, I told him I'm making a video. I just want to know what people should stock up on. Obviously we don't looting, but I want people to be able to go to their local pet stores, get what's left that's there, support the local stores before it gets bad. Here in Seattle, they're already considering shutting down. Like, as of Monday, 2 of the stores said that's probably as far as we'll be able to go. Maybe we'll be open a couple days a week. Who knows? So, basically, hold on one sec. Yes, Nee Ann, I just saw your comment. Dr. Campbell That's John Campbell. He is a brilliant physician, or actually, he's a virologist, I think, or a pathologist, and he teaches doctors and professors how to teach. He's just a brilliant guy. He is a doctor, but not necessarily like a brain doctor. He's a social health doctor, and he has a channel. It's just Dr. John Campbell, Campbell, and yes, he said that cases 10 to 20 times more than whatever is being tested is what will be the amount in the society, unless we're talking about um, uh, like Singapore or Korea or China, where they're really locking it down. NBA, anything like that, all those big places, exactly, guys, they're shutting down. I'm just looking at some of your comments. Will Medicare or Medicaid cover any of this? The testing supposedly is free. However, there are stories of people going to the emergency room. The little checklist says that they need to have ruled out the flu and these other things, so they need to run like $3,000 worth of tests and X-rays and CT scans, and then yes, your testing kit that's $2,000 of money, even though it should cost 15 frickin' dollars to make, is going to be covered. As well as they've said that employers can't hold it against you, and that you can get at least 2 weeks off to take care of the people around you using the Family Leave Act, and you can get sick pay basically for 14 days if you are sick with it, even if you're not getting it, even if you don't have that coverage at your job, which 40% of Americans don't, which blows the mind of a lot of people overseas. So I just wanted to, yeah. But yeah, Dr. John Campbell, he's been on YouTube since, well, not on YouTube, but he's been an online doctor since 1997. And he's a great place to get fairly unbiased, although he has been kind of yelling at the WHO that, like, so now it's a pandemic. Okay, all right, I see. Um, but yeah, exactly. Bob Kaler, the 1918 Spanish flu, 1918, 1917, there were or 1918, 1919, there were 3 rounds. 40 million people died in 3 months. And I hate to tell you this, but our medical system, yes, we have better palliative care. We can give you pain medication if we have it in stock. Too bad a lot of it's made in Afghanistan and Turkey and Australia, and so who knows if we'll get that in boats and containers, and then it's refined here in America. Um, Even our Tylenol and Advil here in America is made over there, the chemicals, and then they combine them and press them into pills here. Ginger says, we've got 26 in Tennessee and 10 in my county, which is Davidson. I saw that, Ginger. I saw when there was a case in Williamson County, because I remembered that's where we stayed and it had my last name. So it really, stuck in my head. Nothing like how avian viruses mutate. Exactly. This is novel. That's the point of it, guys. So when you're stocking up, basically, I want you guys to think about how are you going to feed your fish. I'm going to be doing a series, I decided, because this is more trying to tell you guys how serious this is. If you really don't think that the stores are going to be closed, you think, oh, for 80% of people, it's mild. Well, let me break this down for you. For 80% of people, it's quote unquote mild, like the normal flu. Well, by that same logic, a lot of you people are saying, well, the normal flu kills 600,000 people around the world every year, or whatever it is. It changes from year to year. It's a lot of people, though. But that's 0.02% on a bad year usually. We're talking 3.4%, or, I mean, at our very best, we're a whole magnitude, an order of magnitude above those fatality rates. We're at, uh, yeah. So I think I've harped on all this. Let me just finish scrolling down these comments, you guys. I like that you guys are talking amongst each other and telling each other what's going on. You know, if you need medication for your fish, get it now. Try your local fish store. A lot of a lot of things going on right now, like in the medical world. So I told you all those medications are made in China, the precursors. So they get maybe 3 or 4 chemicals that make up the Tylenol or the whatever it may be. I don't know, dechlorinator. That's one that hopefully we can supply here. But it's just America has gotten, and I hate to say it, but America's gotten greedy, and it's all about money. And if you can make China make it for a fifth of the price and ship it over here and still be cheaper than making it here, why would we make it here? We've made it so that, of course, we're going to buy it other places. We're not self sufficient. And since World War II, that's worked out fine. It's made a very few people a whole lot of money. And yeah, somebody was saying prednisone made me crazy when I took it. It drives me nuts also, but it helps all my inflammation because my immune system attacks my body as it is. And when I stop taking it, I start to get sore and in pain and harder to focus and just tired. It's just not good. Um, Also, the question earlier about um, can the government make us stay quarantined or whatever? Yeah, they can totally make us stay quarantined. They'll bring in the National Guard if they need to. If the National Guard gets sick, then who knows? That's when martial law happens, is when you really lose track of all that. We haven't seen that anywhere yet. Iran, people are starting to throw rocks and things at people. They're trying to get people to stay inside, and they're spraying pesticides all over everything down the streets right now. So yeah, uh, there probably will be some revolutions or some instability in different countries over this. And like you said, it's probably not going to kill a lot of the young people, but it's going to piss a lot of people off when the supply chains are down. It doesn't matter if it doesn't kill you, you're still part of the world economy. Um, so yeah. Let's see here. I'm just reading, guys. Sorry. Let me catch up. I'm almost there. Uh, Alan says, "I'm honestly not looking forward to this country when masses realize how bad this is going to be." No, it's going to be really serious, and everybody who thinks that it's not that bad, just wash your hands, yada yada, don't panic. That's fine, but people are going to kind of panic. I mean, they're going to be like, "Oh wow, I don't know what to do." Drawer full of rocks. I'm glad you were able to come to and hop in. I was telling people for the last month and a half not to panic. Now I feel like if you are still saying it's not a big deal, then it is time to panic. Go inform yourself. Panic a little if you're just sitting there doing nothing. If you are informed, then no, don't panic. Just be smart and let's just weather this together. Calmly make plans. I'm warning you now. You probably have several weeks to go to the pet store and get whatever you think you're going to work on for the next 6 months. But if you want a rimless tank, you're not going to get it. If you want whatever this is coming from Tropica, you're not going to get it. It's all imported. If you want cheap lights from China, you're not going to get them. Like we're just starting to feel that now because they had their Chinese New Year, and that slowed everything down. But they do that every year for a month. They turn down production in the factories, and it's like time to go see family. It's like our Christmas break or whatever, a holiday. Or in Europe, it's like vacation or holiday, where just people kind of shut down for a month, and that's cool. Well, now that it should have opened a month ago, now we really are starting to see like, okay, nothing is going to be unloaded. Um, let's see here. Yes, Ginger, you're correct. And Ava or Ava, I'm assuming Ava. If you have asthma, yes, it's worse. Unfortunately, I do have asthma, and if you smoke, it's worse. They think, although now they haven't confirmed that. They just thought in China there was a big correlation between men having a higher rate of problems, and a lot more men smoke in China than women, like massively. Like I don't know, it's something like 50 or 60% of men smoke in China and like 3% of women or something. But in Italy, actually, quite a few women smoke and men smoke, and men are still getting hit at the same higher rate. So, yeah. Mild, yes, mild, exactly. Neon or Nyon. Mild means everything up to the worst flu you've probably had if you weren't hospitalized. I mean, 103 degrees for 2 weeks. Usually there's not a ton of vomiting and diarrhea and stuff, but there can be a day or two of that. Usually it's a fever, a dry cough that you can't cough anything up, and you're just sick, tired. It feels like your bones are being broken. You're just sore, like the flu. A lot of people may not really know what the flu is. You probably only get it every 3 to 6 years, depending on who you are. If you get flu shots where you live, a lot of people get colds every year and they think, oh man, this is the flu, and they just assume it. But the flu is pretty gnarly, and people forget that. A lot of people just call a cold, a flu, everything, etc. They just call it the same. Uh, but yeah, good news is babies and young kids seem to be almost unaffected by this as far as serious health conditions go. Um, yeah, we are going to be running out of a lot of medications for statins and uh, things like Viagra, Propecia, stuff like that used to be big money that was brand name. Uh, we will be low on, and I hope that they can fire up some uh, new factories. Like they should be doing that now. Um, Yeah, Alan says, Alex, when you say martial law, you're describing what I call anarchy. It basically is. I mean, it's like the local government or whoever has the highest authority left in the government. It's kind of like might makes right in the government. You're supposed to make the best calls according to the Constitution and local laws. But it's kind of like what happens when the teacher's gone and the kids rule the classroom one step below the bully ruling the classroom. Uh, all right, guys, so let's take a look at some tanks. I want to talk to you more about a couple other things. So here's some advice. You can still use plant soil and look up the Diane Wallstead method. Uh, to use plant soil, and you can top it with rocks and things like that. And you know, it is you can still set up a planted tank. However, of course, I look over here, and the store that I was going to restock at is now closed until further notice because of the virus. But my plant fertilizers are gone. Not argon. There's no argon in my plant fertilizers. But, we may have to cut back on that. Someone says, I'm a smoker. I should have never started. Well, yeah. Um, all of us got something. So try to cut back. If you actually do get sick, go out. Why don't you go out and buy some nicotine gum? And if you actually do get sick, definitely stop smoking. Like, definitely. Now it does dock with receptors, and the problem in your lungs is when you do things like that damage your lungs, it causes new entryways and abrasions in the alveolar sacs. Your lung is like a fractal series of, like, here's a pathway, and then there's a cul-de-sac at the end of it. And then from there, there's little pathways in a cul-de-sac. And in those, there's little, all the way down to the size of like molecules. And those get filled up with mucus. Well, if you're smoking cigarettes, you can sometimes burst the blood vessels around those. You can fill them up with tar. And so they're not getting rid of CO2 and bringing in oxygen as efficiently. However, and it also clamps down on your blood vessels. So it also increases hypertension. So you don't want to do that. Definitely, if you're sick, definitely knock that off. But like I said, if you've got other things, weed also is going to do the same things. Yeah. President can declare martial law nationally, and governors can declare it within their states. Yep. Somebody said tar keeps the virus out. A lot of people do have that misnomer that if you F up your lungs bad enough, the virus won't want to live there. Same with alcohol. If my liver is so filled with alcohol, cancer won't want to live there. Um, you know, there actually is some truth to that on a small number, but not when there's like a million virus particles. Then they just overwhelm it, take it over, and exploit the injury. But it is interesting that the doctors literally have backtracked on. First, they said, "Oh, smoking's really going to do it and cause problems," and now they've kind of backtracked. They said that the data isn't super clear on that. They don't really know what's going on. Kind of odd. Um, oh yeah, Shiny Hunter, you won some plants on the 10K giveaway. Uh, yeah, it has been delayed a bit because of things and my own medical problems and financial stuff. The fact that I haven't left the house since I've been sick. The super chats today have really helped. Patreon really helps, so thank you so much, you guys. It means a lot to me that you're supporting me, especially because we're all so uncertain right now. But I hope I can save you some money and maybe save your pets by just kind of, this is a veiled tail angel I got from Aquatic Arts. They are still shipping animals, but the overnight shipping has been having problems, or any shipping but overnight, and then the overnight even had a problem recently. So who knows? But yeah, these were, and same with Sergio, the big angel, and the other one. All right, guys. So let's watch some baby fry get fed. That sounds like more uplifting news than all of this jazz. So we've got my jar. This is another big FYI. You guys should do it. So get a mason jar. I think everyone can get a mason jar. There's probably enough of those to last till the end of time. All right, get a mason jar. Fill it with water. Get a hobby. There is a link in the description below. You can buy it through me if you want. I like when you guys do that, but you don't have to. And buy it through me, I just mean I found the lowest price on Amazon and then linked it for ease if you guys want to buy it. And then they give me, you guys still get the cheapest price, but I get a finder's fee of 1%. All right, so in here, this is brine shrimp. This does not require electricity or anything. And look how many baby brine shrimp without their shells I get out of that. So that's pretty cool. And then I don't have the little strainer it came with because I'm a dum-dum and I lost it. Hold on. But I just put it through either cheesecloth or a little mesh net like this one. And I get all those little babies in the corner. So I'm going to do that a few times. I'm sorry if you guys go out of focus for a sec. But so I just am taking a turkey baster, filling it with the filling it with the little critters, and then dripping it back into there. This is called the Hobby, HOBBY, brine shrimp hatchery. It requires no electricity, and it doesn't smell or anything. It just requires salt. You can use sea salt or table salt, non-iodized salt, and then it will get you a really good amount of brine shrimp every day. You just add more eggs to it. It's a cool system in that there's rings. You just pop off this. I highly recommend this if you plan on breeding fry through this time. You put the floaty eggs in here, and then there's these rings, and there's ridges on the bottom. And so the eggs, when they hatch and they fall to the bottom in this outer ring, and then they swim because they like light. They swim towards the light, and there's this series of up down that they have to go through, so none of the shelled ones that are inhibited from swimming can make it. And then there's a trough in the middle that the light comes through, and that's where they all hang out because they're waiting to get food. Or, I mean, in the wild, they think they're getting whatever. But so then, like, after a few pulls, there aren't so many in it anymore. And then what I do is I just take this bag that now has this net that now has the brine shrimp in it, which has little teeny ones, but I also let it sit for two days, so it has some bigger ones too. So it'd be good to get 2 of these if you're raising any serious amount of fish. And yes, the pop bottle DIY method works well, but I think this thing is like $20 or $25. So I think it's a good deal for how easy it makes it, how clean it is. Yeah, I mean, I've done the soda bottle method, and it's fine. It is. I think it's kind of smelly, and I think it makes it makes noise and yada yada. This I literally bought $8 worth of brine shrimp 6 months ago, and I'm just totally off to the races, and I don't have to worry about it. So then, let's see here. I know you guys aren't looking at much of anything, but this is a great food source for your nano fish and for your adult fish if they're smaller, and then for the fry, if you have bigger cichlids or something, the fry just absolutely love this stuff. So check this out. You can also just use like pantyhose. And then I take the leftovers, and using this net, which is a little ghetto, then I just swish it out in here, and this tank needs cutting, and I'll probably be making another video tonight, later, or tomorrow, where I'm cutting all of these plants. If you saw my last video, you know that the plants have gone wild. I went through and I named almost all of my favorite plants. This tank is pretty much all my favorite rare plants. So ta-da! We have a ton of brine shrimp that are deshelled and ready to feed to the tanks downstairs. I guess we can give a little taste to the tank up here. What do you guys think? And that's no longer salty water because I strained it out, and then I just got rid of the net. All these little ember tetras love these, so I want to make sure to get here. Let's feed them a good amount of them actually. Watch them just go in for the kill. But this is one great way to make food at home, and I'm going to do more episodes of how to make stuff at home. So say you didn't have a net, pantyhose and a like pantyhose or nylon stockings. You can use those. I mean, they're cheap to buy. You can even use like a t-shirt for this for brine shrimp. Just pull it and pull it over, like a square surface so that it stretches out the weave a bit. And it's a great way to actually filter and sieve things out. So let's go downstairs and feed the babies. I gotta wrap up fairly soon, but the whole point is go get stuff now for your dogs and cats. I'd worry more about dogs and cats. Fish, get some extra fish flakes, stuff like that. Hopefully we have back supplies of the fish stuff, I hope, in warehouses. But don't quote me on that. So watch this. This will be very fun. Uh, Oops, I totally just squirted a bunch of baby brine shrimp everywhere. Oops. Alright. So, we're putting the brine shrimp in. Putting the brine shrimp in. And this is like plenty. One little baster thing full in there. Over here we have all my baby angelfish and my not gouramis, my bettas. And so I'm gonna feed them a couple squirts too. But we'll watch them eat in a minute here. The tin winnies are also kind of fun to watch. I like them when they eat. They're so quick. They're like the hunters. Look how quickly they clean up like hundreds of them. It's just nuts. So I have baby tin winnies. So remember what these guys look like with the spots. I love them. And then also we gotta feed all my baddest mother truckers in the tank. So here we are again feeding fish from home. Now, the other thing you can do is if you have a fish that dies or if you have too many fry, and I know this is pretty desperate, I know it sounds a little crazy. You might think I'm crazy. All I want's my fish to live. But you can actually take, if you have a ton of guppy fry, you can take them. They'll eat stuff like algae. I've done experiments and I've literally left guppies. You can feed them like once a week some protein, but literally like algae, duckweed, and just random plants and plankton and little micro things. And soon it'll be mosquito season and all sorts of other stuff that they can eat, and you won't need to worry about that. You could just put a bucket outside, as well as baby shrimp. But I have upstairs on the counter, I have a few colonies, and here's my other baddest. These are my black and red tiger baddest that I got from Aquatic Arts. And I'm going to give them some little food to eat. You going to eat it? They get pretty shy. But yeah, so making food at home is going to be something that's really important for getting through this, you guys. Dechlorinator. There are a lot of ways to dechlorinate your water. Let's feed these guys next. So, in case you didn't see the video, you can dechlorinate water simply by leaving it out. Real hard, right? Leave it out in a bucket. If you want to put it in the sun, that's even better. Here are my Phoenix rasboras. The other thing when I talked to local fish stores was I found out that a lot of them said if they can stay open, they have been told that seagrass farms will probably not be selling fish, shipping fish. They probably won't have, they'll probably have to close. There's a big warehouse with a lot of people there, and they source fish from all over the world. So they'll probably have to close at Seagrass, who also supplies Florida Aquatic Nursery and a few other things. They all kind of work together. 5D, Imperial, all these big companies in the Tampa Bay area, which unfortunately is also starting to get quite the number of cases. But they probably won't be selling as many fish. So you might be able to make a little bit of money, you guys. And while you're bored, why don't you guys get some fish to breed and buy a tank while you still can. If you want it to be a rimless tank, like one of these, you better get it quick. Same with the Twin Star, the Slimline Lights, or any Chinese knockoffs. Even Fluvals, I think those are made in China too, but I'm not sure. I mean, like the company's based in Germany, and I think they have some subsidiary France too. But yeah. Um, Fishy Fun 57. How do you keep your blue dreams alive? So for me, my tap water comes out almost RO water, luckily, for my neocaradinas. So, like, you see, here's the neocaradina just chilling, and they're chilling with the female baddis who are eating the brine shrimp I just put in there. The trick for me is I don't do water changes. I literally start with like RO water. So I'll get distilled water. The other video I talked about how you could make evaporative water if you wanted literally nothing in it, but you'd need remineralizer if if there was something you were trying to recreate, like a rift lake or something, or you'd need crushed coral or whatever. And I have the last video where I talked about this stuff with the same danger sign. Of course, it was demonetized, but I was talking about how you can use your RO system for your own water if you need to purify some water and so forth. And yeah, Fluval made in China, exactly. And then also the antibiotics, like I said, are made in China, but people buy those antibiotics to take themselves. Now, I've done two videos specifically on that and the merits of how that is dangerous in theory, but if you really knew what you were doing and you know that it's the type of antibiotic you need, I am not a doctor. I cannot give any advice, but I'm just saying if you were someone who did in fact know what type of infection, for instance, gram negative, gram positive, and whether it's, a deep internal organ tissue thing versus like a dental or skin abscess type thing, uh, you could use fish medicine. Mox, API, erythromycin is all literally bought from the same manufacturers that make our own medication, and then they actually buy it from them as a powder, and then they mix it up over here. They cut it with various things. Sometimes they'll put like augmentin or something in with like erythromycin or something. I probably said erythromicron because that's the fish I'm looking at with the little black dot on its tail. So you see the striped fish with the black dot on its tail? Fun time now. If you missed the last video, here's my blue dream shrimp that I keep alive. All I do is nothing for these guys. Don't overfeed your shrimp. The best thing you can do is you can let your tank get nice and seasoned. I like soil or aqua soil. This is ADA, Amazonia, and Fluval stratum, both mixed in a little bit. Then I let that cycle for like a month, and this was like 3 years ago now. And it's like dust in the back because of shrimp castings, is a nice way to say poop. And the shrimp, then I'll give them a treat when I want them to come out. But they sell so many shrimp foods and things now, and I can literally tell you that if you have any sort of light and or natural daylight coming in on your shrimp, you do not need to feed them. They can eat algae. That's just what they do. That's how they roll. If you don't have fish in with them, there are all sorts of little weird doodads. You see the little dots crawling around in there? There are all sorts of little things running around in the tank that shrimp will eat, and snails. So make sure you put some snails in there. Um, so the emerald rasboras. So check this out. Those are the erythromycin. What I wanted to, or erythromicrons, is what I wanted to show you guys is that I also have some babies of them. How can you tell that they're erythromicrons? even though they're like, I don't know, maybe 1 millimeter, maybe 1.5 millimeters, maybe. Well, if they'd come closer, then I would be able to show you. Can I show you on this gun? But my point is, I'm going to be breeding fish as a hobby to stop me from getting cabin fever and going crazy. And I really hope that those of you who are able to telecommute, or maybe you're retired or whatever, and you're able to, um, if and you're able to support the channel, that means so much to me because my wife and I really just don't know what we're going to exactly do at the moment. If this goes on a long time, which I think it will. All right, so I'm going to scare the fishies over. The fish stores are closing because everyone's going to have to go on quarantine, and also supplies will be stopped from entering the country, slash factories won't be making them as much, and there'll be competition for it, slash people sick who can unload it. Who knows how long it will last? It will hit different countries at different times. And I just know that in the Seattle area, with the amount of cases we have, if you're somewhere else in the US or in another country, you may think, what? That's crazy. Already our hospitals are getting pretty full. Already we've decided to shut. Look at the little dot on the tail. That's a baby erythromicron. Same with up here. Little dot on the tail. Super fat. It's been eaten like there's no tomorrow. There's tomorrow for you guys. I have endless food for you guys. I got a big old thing of brine shrimp for $8. But the shrimp and my celestial pearls and all my little nano fish, I keep them right around 76 degrees usually. And I try not to do a ton of water changes, even though a lot of people say to do a lot of water changes. I just don't. I don't do a lot of water changes, and I just kind of let water evaporate and then replace it. And then every once in a while, I'll get a turkey baster, and I will try to clean up some extra like algae or leaf debris or whatever. Now, shrimp do like this stuff, but I'll clean it up. The other thing I have to say about this tank is right now I have some of my Rileys. These are all from Lucas Brett's line originally, but in the course of several years, I've had some mutate into blue Reillys or Rileys. And there's a dark version next to it right there, actually. Uh, Currently, they're all mixed together because I wanted to see what would happen if I crossed them back, if one gene's more important than the other. And luckily, all my Reillys or Rileys, I should say, or maybe it's not luckily, they're all female. So once they get buried, I can go put them in the other shrimp, in another shrimp tank or another tank. Um, but right now, yeah, I've got a lot of buried shrimp. It usually happens with the full moon. For me, every other full moon, I'll leave the window open for a couple days around then, and it'll be pitch black. Other than that, there's a male. He's getting ready to lose his. This male's getting ready to get the next size bigger shell. He's starting to crack that shell right at the shoulder. If you can see, he's actually breaking out of his exoskeleton at the shoulder. He's working on getting a tear right at the shoulder, that little blurry spot. And as he does that, he's also moving his legs. And if you can see the thin outline of a whole other pair of legs in those front legs, and he will totally slip out of all of that. His tail's white completely because a lot of these shrimp are on the same cycle, they're the same age, and so they are molting at the same time. And so that's what's going on. So I've kind of got some blue. They're more like blue sapphire. This gal's beautiful. I love her. Um, and she's really loaded with babies. She's an old one. She's had a lot of babies for me. Um, USA shrimp. I wish I've got USA bettas. Which the other thing I was going to show you. Oh, here's a Tin Winnie baby. Of course, it goes out of sight the second I say that. Tin Winnie baby, look at him. He's got all the little stripes of an adult and little dots, even though he's super teeny. That's a gold ring Danio right there. A great nano fish. easy to care for. They do like a little bit of flow in the water, but they'll live without it. Um, Check out all the shrimp though flexing right now. It may be that when I added water, I topped off the water today. It may be that the water has a little bit less. My RO out of the tap, or my water is almost RO out of the tap. The hardness is basically 25 to 100, depending on the time of year. And right now it's like 25 in my house. So that means that the hardness in the tank, since I have crushed coral and aqua soil and plants and leaves. So also you can use maple leaves. You don't need catappa almond leaves. But when they got that cold water, they decided cold water with low TDS. Our old water had a bunch of TDS and we have all these minerals. So right now, all these lighter colored shrimp that are flexing and arching their back, they're getting ready to shed their exoskeleton and grow. And they know that the new water doesn't have as many minerals in it, and so they want to shed their exoskeleton and hurry up and eat it while they're growing in that new exoskeleton. This guy's still got part of his old tail on. They just walked by. But he'll slip out of that eventually. Usually they get it all out in one clean break. Here's another Tin Winnie Daniel Fry. Just kind of cute. I just think they're great entertainment to know that you raise them. This is another Erythromicron or Emerald Dwarf Rasbora. But yeah, you can feed them and raise them at around 74 to 76 to 78 degrees. Aquatic Haven, hello, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I've been worried because I know your area is getting a lot of cases as well. So I was thinking about you, and I'm thinking about my friends in Britain and the viewers in China, and man, I'm just worried about everyone. Everybody's gonna have to deal with it soon, whether they want to think about it or not. Um, Unfortunately. Here we've got my golden nebula shrimp, also from Aquatic Arts. Now, Aquatic Arts is gonna try to keep selling stuff online as much as they can until fish start dying in the mail because of delays or their employees get sick. But they have, I think, about 6 employees that they could run a skeleton crew on. But they may not be getting in any new fish other than whatever's being bred locally in the area. So I cleared out a lot of the duckweed on this tank a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and now you can see that the Ludwigia araguaia is growing back well. This guy is a monster. The Honduran red point fry. Remember when I got him and he was just smaller than an eyelash? Now he's got a belly that turns red, and he's getting big. He's getting crib size, and he eats anything. I've watched him eat a lot of baby guppies. I've watched him eat a lot of snails. My one blue tetra left. Not neon blue, but actually a blue tetra. I love these. They're so pretty. I should have bred those while I had 4. And then we've got the Lucas Bretz guppies. And more lots of crazy Danios that I breed every so often. And catfish, Pandagara. I have a shellfish allergy. I do 10 to 20% water changes a week. Can I slow down and still keep protein levels really low? Usually. I mean, just don't feed them as much. If you have anything like Hydra or Planaria, you're feeding them too much. I literally have a bowl with no filtration upstairs. Has no filtration, no airline, no filtration. Just lots of plants. It's got to have lots of plants. But lots of plants and aqua soil and some wood for to become kind of an area to and moss or something with a lot of surface area for the bacteria to grow on, or floating stuff too. And as long as you got a nice biofilm going, you basically don't need to feed Neocaridina shrimp. They can eat their own poop. I think it was 7 times that order of fish. Pretty crazy. Now, what I'm very concerned about is that I will run out of this. So, also, yes, your donations are helping. Sorry, guys, I turned around quickly. Yes, your donations are helping the fish room and me getting by, and while I hide and hope I don't get infected. But they may go towards a pallet of Dr. Pepper, so I can have one a day for a while. Check out all my Malawa shrimp. So this is what I was saying. Get a shrimp that's just nice and easy to breed. I literally feed them about 8 or 9 of these pellets every 3 or 4 days. And then they eat algae and biofilm and whatever they eat. Fish poop? I don't know. They eat poo. And they eat that. And they're just all hanging out like crazy. Lots of pregnant ones. Here's the blue strain of the Malawas that I've grown in one tank, and then the red strain. Now, there are lots of planaria in this tank. However, when fish are hungry enough, they will eat planaria. So I can go and not even feed this daisy rice fish and guppy, koi guppy tank. I've literally gone 2 weeks without feeding it, and I just noticed there's a lot less planaria. And right now the soil is breaking down, so I really do need to buy more aqua soil, which is one of the major bummers. Yeah. But I mean, the secret to shrimp is just not changing things, just not changing a lot. Stay away from caridina like crystal shrimp or King Kong or things like that at first, and just keep it consistent. I mean, even if the nitrates are creeping up or whatever, and just no copper either. But even if that stuff's creeping up, your fish are probably going to be fine. Um, it's just a matter of that consistency. They just, the shrimp, I should say, will be fine. And give them lots of places to hide to feel comfortable. I have a video about rock hides. Yeah, Dr. Pepper is definitely my big vice right now, or it has been for years since I quit drinking alcohol. Ugh. But instead of buying catappa leaves for around here, I could just get maple leaves or mulberry or whatever. So now this is the tank that doesn't get a lot of love because it's hard to see what the heck is going on in it. But look, we've got a friend today. And it appears to be a female. Oh, she's gone quickly. A female betta. These are the fry from maybe a month and a half ago. She's going to be beautiful. But she's eating those little brine shrimp that we put in. Look, she's got her little under her tail that's blue. And she's got stripes. That's how you can really tell when they're this young that it's probably a female, is the nice striping on them. The females usually have that, and then they'll get darker as they get older. Also, you see that little teeny fry next to her? That is an angelfish fry from Sergio. So Sergio, that rascal, he is also got babies in here. I hope she does not eat Sergio's young. Now, let's see. We have some other ones in here too. There's another blue one. We've got a couple blue and white ones. We've got a couple red. Here's an actual like opal and blue and purple one. She's gonna be really pretty. Or he, I should say. That one's a he. And then there are, I don't know where they all went. They're all, of course, present, and then they just disappear. So here is another female. You see how big of a puffy bulldog mouth she has? And then she's got that under belly, but she's got, you can really make out the lines on her body, whereas the males, I mean, sometimes it's as bold as that one we first saw with like literal stripes, but most of the time it's just these kind of contour lines. Let's see if we can find a couple more. But breeding betta is a lot of fun that you could do while under quarantine. And yeah, there's a couple more back there. There's a red one and purple one. And here is that green and blue one that we saw second. And then obviously all the little teeny fry that are the angelfish fry are hiding. But I've just been feeding them brine shrimp. And then the other thing I did was, if I hold the flashlight to the glass, keeping old tanks is not a bad thing. Look at all the crap on here, all the algae, and these are detritus worms. But they look like little micro worms, like little banana worms or white worms or whatever you want to call them, grindle worms. And they work quite well. They work quite well. So there's the two variants. I'm hoping maybe I got an albinistic group also. Let me know if you guys know something about bettas, but she looks like she could be albinistic to me. I don't know. Got another one back there that is too. So these are all the little ones, and then you can see the angelfish fry are still really teeny, even though they're the same age, and they don't have that angelfish shape whatsoever. There's another smaller fry though from there. And actually, I've just been pulling those out as I see them from over here, but they hide really well. And if I had any fish in there whatsoever, they'd get eaten instantly. And just one more time to show you guys, the dad looks like this. Hello, Daddy. And then the mom looks like this. Come on. So really beautiful female to go from. But they really love this algae dirtied up tank. Like, I watched them nom nom on whatever algae this is that took over this tank. And same with the tin winnies. They love it. Like, I will feed them flake food and they ignore it. They'd rather eat the algae. But yeah, here's an all-American betta. Red, white, and betta blue. But yeah, and then we got the blue dream shrimp. Also up here, we've got finally, I don't know why, I know other people have problems with it the other way, but I can't ever get my Malaysian trumpet snails to breed. But finally, with all this algae in here, my Malaysian trumpet snails have bred. So I'm happy about that. The other thing is, like, for cribs and things, like upstairs to feed, I can always use, yes, guppies, I know that's mean, but I can use snails. I can smush them. However, there are certain diseases, bacteria, and viruses that snails carry, so make sure you've treated the aquarium or put them in a QT aquarium for a couple weeks first. Vibrio being the one that has ruined my aquarium setups twice in 3 years. Wow, he's right behind the red light. Good choice, buddy. Alright, guys, well, I am going to sign off here. I've really enjoyed talking with you. I know it's been a long one, and I know a lot of you guys are going through a lot of uncertainties. Everyone's 401k, if you have one of those, has taken a hit. I like to say, ha ha ha, I'm an artist, I'm a graphic designer and artist. I only have a teeny 401k from when I used to work a 9 to 5. But in all seriousness, my $6,000 went to 4 or whatever. Sad. Yeah, so thank you again for the super chats. I mean, I can't thank you enough for Sorry guys, I was having fun with the flashlight. I can't thank you enough for that big one from Canada, from Fishy Fun 57. Is that, did I say that right? And you know, all you guys, you love my rambling videos. Well, that makes one of you. No. I'll try to be making more videos while I'm on lockdown. And you know, the more I don't mean to be a jerk, but the more people who buy stuff on Teespring or who buy stuff or do super chats, or you can just hit me up on PayPal. That's really the very best way. Um, I will literally talk to you guys on the phone. If you're my PayPal, there's a level where I will troubleshoot you. You can tell me what kind of video you want me to make, and I'll make a 20-minute video that I researched for a week for you. So there's all sorts of stuff you can check out on there, and I hope that some of you do if you're able to. If not, I hope I can help you with some of these videos about how to save some money with fish and make things at home DIY, or just even save your fish by getting some supplies now, having some extra stuff. It's not like most of it expires very quickly. So get that fish food, get that aqua soil and the lights you need, or whatever, fertilizers. Um, and stay really safe, guys. Be really careful out there in the world. You know, this is going to be life altering. We will all remember this for the rest of our lives as probably overshadow 9/11. A lot of things. You may not know that yet and think that sounds funny or preposterous, but it will. So on that note, please take care of the critters you have that are in your. Look, I stocked up on Cheerios. Uh, the critters you have in your care, the organisms, the plants, the animals. Take care of your friends, your family around you. And then take care of yourself so you can take care of them. And I mean that more than ever, in that take care of your health so you don't spread around. Even if you don't feel that sick, if you're feeling a little down or off, or you've been around someone who's sick, please just sit it out for a while. I know it sucks to lose that money. I know what it's like, you know, living that kind of job and that kind of, you know, when you lose you know, a minimum wage or out by the hour type thing, how scary that is. But I mean, hopefully they'll have a relief fund in most Western countries. Hopefully the US will come up with something, and if they don't, demand it. Seriously, this is, we spend trillions on all sorts of things, bailing out banks and military stuff. We should really start caring about the health and well-being of our people and our middle class and our blue collar and everyone else, you know, just the people. So I think if everyone did half of that half the time, our world would be like 50 million times better. So hang in there, guys. In the comments, please feel free to drop a line. And if I owe you anything that I haven't sent out yet because I wasn't feeling well, or because I didn't get an email with your address, email me. The address is linked below by my PayPal information, same email. So hit me up and I can send you whatever it was that you won. Remind me too if you won something specific. I know the 4 set of plants going to Christy, but and the other stuff that's already sent out. But I guess there was one person I missed, maybe 2, 1 for sure. All right, guys, take it easy. I will talk to you later. Try not to go stir crazy. Fall in love with your fish, watching them, your plants, and stock up. Support your local fish store. Talk to you later. Bye.